More than 100,000 people have braved freezing temperatures in Moscow, some to demand fair elections, while others were rallying in support of the current leadership. It comes exactly a month before Russia's presidential vote and follows a disputed parliamentary poll late last year. Let's cross now to RT's Karen Tarachi, who's in Bolotnaya Square, where the opposition has gathered. Karen, it's extremely cold there. Presumably that's had some kind of effect on crowd numbers.
Well, despite the bitter, bone-chilling cold temperatures here on Bolotnaya Square, reports of some 20,000 people have come out, and this is actually the third sanctioned protest that has occurred since the December 4th parliamentary elections, except the only difference being this one was a marching protest where protesters took out onto the city center streets and marched all the way to Bolotnaya Square, where I am currently standing. Now, the government does approve of these protests. They do want the people to voice their opinions. However, they have deployed some 9,000 police officers here onto Bolotnaya Square and throughout the city center to just make sure that it is, in fact, a peaceful protest. And it actually has been. It's been very quiet. We've seen a number of flags. But again, these temperatures will have to force that agenda of the actual protest here on Bolotnaya Square down to just an hour because it is really so cold.
And what about the opposition? I mean, who are the most prominent figures, and are they there at the rally as far as you know?
Well, there is, in fact, a lot of opposition. You have the nationalists, you have the leftists. There are calls for a sort of Tsar-style leader. However, there isn't really one leader leading this protest movement towards fair and free elections. You do have Mikhail Prokhorev, who was here today at Bolotnaya Square, although he did not speak. He was not going to speak. And as well as Grigory Yavlinsky, who was head of the Yabloko party. He was set to make a speech, although he did not. With him, you have a midst of speculations and also his current bid for presidency, where he wanted to run for president but was shot down because something like 26% of his signatures of the 2 million needed for that presidential run were claimed as being falsified. So he was supposed to be here. Grigory Yavlinsky did not speak, however, and you do have also Alexei Navalny, very popular amongst the bloggers and very activist, a very well-known activist, not so well-known, however, for his nationalist movement, his claim that Russia is for Russians, so to speak, or stop feeding the Caucasus. But for the moment, those are the main leaders here at Bolotnaya Square. You did have, again, Mikhail Prokhorev showing his face and Yavlinsky, who did not speak.
Karen, we can see some of those protesters behind you. Is the government ready to meet the demands that they're making? What's been the Kremlin reaction to all this?
Well, in terms of what's been done since the December 4th parliamentary elections, actually a lot. You know, Prime Minister Vladimir Putin has promised to put webcams in polling stations, and he's followed through on that. The website has been launched. It is ready. You can check it out, where you will be seeing those live feeds. Not to mention the fact the Independent League of Electors, who will be heading out to the polling stations when the presidential elections happen in March to assure that the same sort of fraud in the ballot box stuffing won't take place again. You have that league established, not to mention Prime Minister Putin, who has been criticized for showing his face a little too much in the media. He has promised to slash his airtime and not participate in any of those public presidential debates. However, he will continue to keep on writing his articles, the third one, which is set to be out sometime next week. Now, aside from that, you do have President Medvedev, who at his State of the Union address did put together a sort of long list of reforms that, if presented to the Duma by February, some point during February, and approved, they will be in place for the presidential elections in March. Now, those reforms being the presidential signatures. Currently, you need 2 million signatures in order to run for president, and they would like that number dropped down to about about 300,000. Not to mention the fact that the governors are currently appointed by the president. If these reforms do take place, they will somehow be elected, although how that election will take place, it's not quite clear yet. You also have the fact political parties at the moment. You need about 10,000 signatures for a political party to join forces. And if these reforms do take place, then the green light will go ahead for only 500 signatures needed, and therefore seeing more political parties in the masses. So those are the reforms at the moment that are currently proposed to the Duma, to the Russian government, have not yet been approved, but we'll have to wait and see what will go on with that.
Okay, RT's Karen Teraci reporting from Bolotnaya Square. Thank you for now. Well, another rally, this time in support of the Kremlin, has been taking place in Moscow's Victory Park. People there are critical of the protest gatherings and warn of the dangers of a Ukrainian-style Orange Revolution happening in Russia. Well, one of the organisers of that pro-Kremlin rally has been arrested, as numbers have exceeded the agreed maximum amount. RT's Jacob Greaves is there.
We're seeing quite a mass protest. A lot of people in attendance here today. Latest police reports putting that up to 90,000 in total. Now, their principal message has been one of no revolution. They don't want instability here. In fact, they fear it. It's actually been called the anti-orange movement. That's in reference to the orange movement that took place in Ukraine in 2005, which led to a presidential rerun. Something they don't want to see here, those in attendance here today, as many have experienced in Russia of the hardships of revolution, of the turbulent 90s as a result. And that's not something they want to be repeating.
I came here to support Russia, to support honest elections. I want us to have a bright future, and I want us to choose that future ourselves.
I don't know who exactly gathered at Bolotnaya Square, but I think it's perfectly fine that they did. It's democracy, and they are the opposition.
Now, as for those who have come here today, well, officially there wasn't any political allegiance organised behind this demonstration, but the mass of those in attendance seem to be showing support for Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. It can't be denied, his support and popularity has been waning on the back of those December the 4th Duma elections wrought with allegations of electoral fraud. And he's seen a slump in the popularity in terms of the polls as well, languishing about 52% of the vote according to some of the latest results. But that's still far outstripping any of his adversaries. And according to what we're seeing right now, it seems this message of stability still carries some weight.